Hare Krishna. We will start the last part of the 9th chapter. That Omajnana Timrandasya Jansla Shlaka Sakshu Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Prabhema. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vinod Swami Tunamni. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharani. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarane. So I've here some flow charts I made more than 10 years ago. This is the 9th chapter, the section we will discuss now from verses 20 till 26. In verse 20 and 21, that the practices of those who want to go to the heavenly planets is described. They perform rituals and they want to drink so much juice in the heavenly planets that we will hear what happens with them. And then Krishna speaks about his Ananya Bhaktis, his pure devotees. He says, for my pure devotees, I make sure that all these needs are met, and I give them more and more opportunity for spiritual advancement. So Krishna gives to his devotee what he needs, not what he wants, what he needs for make spiritual advancement. And then Krishna speaks about demigod worshippers. He calls them Avidi Purvakam. Avidi Purvakam, as you can read on the slide, is illegal. That they are bribing the servants of the boss. That's illegal. That so then further we hear about the destination of the devotees. They go to Vaikuntha and they attain a permanent position where all the others, including the impersonalists, get only temporary positions. And then in verse 26, we hear Bhakti is easy and universal. Krishna does not need anything, is self-sufficient. Because the devotee loves Krishna, he gives Krishna what he desires. So we'll start with trying to understand this section more in detail. Therefore, we go to the Bhagavad Gita, 9:20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Vidyamam Sumapa Puta Papa. Jachne Istvasvarchatim Prachtayanti. Te Punyamasadya Surendra Lokam. Asnanti Divyam Divideva Bhogam. Translation and purport by Abhaicha Navinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly, purified of sinful reactions. They take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that one who studies the three Vedas, the Sama, the Yajur, and the Rig Veda, is called Trivedi. That so anyone who is very much attached to knowledge derived from these three Vedas is respected in society. It's very nice, but then Krishna says, then Srila Prabhupada, he says, unfortunately, there are many great scholars of the Vedas who do not know the ultimate purpose of studying them. That therefore Krishna herein declares himself to be the ultimate goal for the three Vedas. Actually, the Vedas take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna and engage in pure devotional service to satisfy the Lord. That So by what are they doing? What are their practices? That those who are simply students of the Vedas become more interested in offering sacrifices to the demigods like Indra and Chandra. By such endeavor, the worshippers of different demigods are solely purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature and thereby elevated to the heavenly planets planets like Marloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. Once situated on those higher planetary systems, one can satisfy sentences hundreds of thousands of times better than on this planet, but also hundreds of thousand times more conditioned, more difficult to get out. Therefore, being on the earthly planet is much better than the heavenly planets. Heavenly planets, the devotee considers hell, that going there. Not, so this is, but now the next verse continues on this karma kandi. Tedam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam chine punyamartyalokam vishanti. Evam taye dharmananupapana katha katam kama kamalam pante. What happens? When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. They have to come back. So one who is promoted to the higher planetary system, Srila Prabhupada writes, he enjoys a long duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment. But one is not allowed to stay there forever, Prabhupada. So one is again sent back to the earth upon finishing the resulted fruits of pious activities. So you come back. It's only a visit, a tourist. Have to come back. When your vacation is over, you are here again. He who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, become baffled about achieving the ultimate goal of life. So, at the end, Srila Prabhupada said, one should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to this miserable material existence. So that's a better thing to do. Yeah. Now there's a quote, Prabhupada quote. Let's see if we can get on the screen. screen. Quote. Share the quote. 21. 3 quotes. I read the first one. Students of the Vedas generally worship the demigods. If such persons worship Krishna through their worship of the demigods, they are properly situated. If they worship the demigods as independent deities, however, they are purified of the lower modes and attain the heavenly kingdom. So 2 ways of worshipping demigods. That worshipping them as such worship through their worship, they worship Krishna through the demigods. They see the demigods as representatives of Krishna. Like you ask a Brahmin priest to do an offering for you, a sacrifice for you. Like that is the Ritvik. He's doing it. In you are the shamana, or how do you call it? Shamana, the beneficiary of the sacrifice. So that's okay. That you can do. You know it. The offering is going to Krishna. It's meant for Krishna, and also the demigods worship Krishna. That. But if you see the demigods as separate from Krishna, then that's a problem. That then you become purified and you go to the heavenly planets. When we worship the demigods, goes to the demigods, Krishna will say later. When we worship me, come to me. So what's that? Because Baldevidya Bhushan, he puts lines between us, says, yeah, Arjuna says to Krishna, this doesn't look like honest. Those who worship the demigods, they get some temporary enjoyment. But those who worship you, they get eternal life. They do the same endeavor. And Krishna says to Arjuna, what's the point? That those who worship those who worship demigods go to the demigods, and those who worship me come to me. So they choose that. That's Baladev Vidyabhusha. Always interesting commentaries between that. Okay, that's the principle. Who reads the next quote? Arjuna was allowed. Yeah, please go.
Instead of being obvious with spiritual can you explain that? Because this purpose
The spiritual world, you don't return from the spiritual world, but if you want, you can. And that wanting can start with something very subtle. We said to Krishna, we were curious. What would it be to be Krishna for a moment? And Krishna said, okay, you want to experience? There you go. And here we are. But the Prabhupada warns, and that's a warning which should be taken very serious. Do not try to find out why we came from the spiritual world. It is the last snare of Maya. Don't try even. It is Maya will you take you away from devotional service. Because then you want to know things on your own power. But Prabhupada said, Nitya Bada, you cannot trace back. You cannot know. And they just gave me a topic for Friday in Gainesville, I have to speak on the urgency of spiritual life. So if you are in the waters of the ocean and you say, and a boat comes, and the boat comes and say, come aboard. And you say, no, 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 I first want to know how I came here. No, you go on board, Srila Prabhupada said. That, so don't try to answer that question.
Yeah, it's Chinese. In the heavenly planet, we have to come down.
We have to come down.
That's
Yeah.
the
That's the difference, yeah. So that's that, and because you go to the heavenly planets with your paycheck, with your credit card, you have done all these rituals and you get pious credits. And you can stay there until your bank account is finished. Then you have to come back. So you have to pay for it and you come back. It's a paid vacation, right? But going to the spiritual world is no payment. The payment is bhakti, pure devotional service. And then when you are in the spiritual world, you don't want to come back. If you want, you can. That's what we learned from Prabhupada. So someone wants to read this quote, the second one. June was allowed.
There is a story of Arjun was about to enter into the heavenly planets in his own body simply by the grace of the Lord. Otherwise, it's not possible to do so. The prelude attempts to enter into the heavenly planet by the modern scientists. Because such scientists are not on the level of Arjun. They are ordinary human beings without any assets of sacrifice, charity, or austerity.
Who was the father of Arjun? King Indra. So he went to see his father in heaven by the mercy of Krishna in the self-same body. Prabhupada said, that's no, that was only by the grace of Krishna. Then the next quote, that is the story of Mudgala.
Where is the experience?
No, there is the story of Mudgala.
Who was given the opportunity of going to the heavenly planet that same body after hearing of the life there. He goes.
So Mudgala was intelligent, and we should also be intelligent.
He should have gone to the heavenly planet and then from there he should have gone to the spiritual planet.
That's possible at the end of life of Brahma, and he would still have been there and waiting.
But it said that the duration of a time in heavenly planet depends on the amount of pious activity that one has. So that he still have to wait till the end of the day of Brahma.
No, there's a difference between the heavenly planets, like Indra Loka and so on, and the higher planetary systems, Tapaloka, Janaloka, and so on. They are very far from each other. The heavenly planets is there where one can go by the system of karma kanda. But that's the two verses we just read. by doing rituals, and anyway, that Janaloka, Tapaloka, and so on are higher planetary systems close to Brahmaloka, Satyaloka. And who goes there? What's the process to go there? Mostly the tapasvis, those who do great austerities and are sannyasis, they can go there, the tapasvis, or also the jnanis, through austerities, and that very difficult to attain. And they stay there and until the end of the life of Brahma. But you can read about that in the first canto. There's more to say about that, because these are very great souls. They are liberated. They are still there, but they are not yet devotees. That's the problem. But by association with Brahma, they may go to the heavenly planets. So they, yes, you want to say something?
The sixth chapter, Bhagavan, I say that, those who fall after short practice of Bhakti Yoga, they also go to Siddha Yoga.
They go to the heavenly planets. No, not to this higher, no, because they want to enjoy, and the place for enjoyment is the heavenly planets. There's no enjoyment like this of Janaloka, Tapaloka, Marloka. That is, they meditate and they are in bliss by their meditation. But there's no enjoyment like in the heavenly planets. So if you want to enjoy, you go there. You go to the heavenly planets, not to Janaloka, Marloka, Tapaloka. That information is also in the fifth canto. But in the first canto, there, Prabhupada at the end, 17th chapter or something, he writes in a purport, because this verse speaks about his residence. Well, in the purport, he speaks about the residence of Tapaloka, Janaloka, and said these are great souls, and sometimes they feel compassion for the people on the earthly planets. And then they come down to preach as sons of God or as messiahs or prophets, and they come from there. And after that, after they done their job, they go back. Prabhupada mentioned that they are great souls. Yeah. Good. But you must be qualified to go to the heavenly planets. There's also a story, I think, in 8th or 9th canto, that it was a king, and by the mercy of its spiritual master, he was sent to the heavenly planets, Indraloka. Then Indraloka said he's not qualified. He sent them back, but the guru sent them up, and is still hanging there. It is because we will hear the process of karma kanda to go to the heavenly planets is explained in the 8th canto. Bali Maharaj, Sukracharya, is a specialist in karma kanda. Sukracharya and Sukracharya, because you go to the heavenly planets to enjoy, and that's what the demons want. So he's the spiritual master of the demons, and engage them in karma kanda, and these demons were worshipping Shukracharya. When you worship the spiritual master, you become empowered. Therefore, we do Guru Puja every day. It's very important to Guru Puja. It empowers us. And they became so empowered and so strong that they conquered the whole universe. And well, they conquered the heavenly planets, and they entered the heavenly planets, and then King Indra and all the heavenly residents, they had to flee. They made themselves invisible. They can do that, and they fled. But then Bali Maharaj was there. But Sukracharya said, now you have to become qualified. Otherwise you cannot stay here. So you have to do 100 Asvamedha Jahyas. That's the price. That's quite, and then you can become the king of heaven. That's you want to be the king of heaven, you have to do them now. And he instructed them how to do them. So it's all science, but it's all for nothing. You have to come back at the end. That's karma kanda. Karma kanda is not the worship of the demigods. Karma kanda is a process of ritual where the demigods are worshipped with the purpose to go to the heavenly plans and enjoy there for a long time. But you have also demigod worship just for material benefits, not to go to the this heavenly planets. So that's all in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Vedas. Good. Enough about this karma kanda. Krishna speaks in the next verse again about his pure devotees. The Ananya, the Ananyas, that having no other object, Sintaya, concentrating mam on me. So those who only serve Krishna out of love. Ananya Sintyantamam Yechna Payopaste Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakstena Pamya. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Now you have to be careful to interpret this correctly. From a materialistic view, you may say, oh, that's nice. Krishna he protects my possessions and he gives me more and more that, and I lack a lot, so he will give me a lot of possessions. Wrong, nothing to do with this, because that's the material concept of life. This is not Ananya Bhakta, this is mine. That is, nothing is ours, it belongs to Krishna. So that's wrong. That's the wrong interpretation. Let's hear in the purport. Srila Prabhupada explains it. Yeah, in the purport, I think this is 9. 9:22. Usually, this is a memorization verse, but not for you. I see that Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. What does this protection mean? The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life. So Krishna, it gives you what you need. If you are too attached and you think this is mine, Krishna may take it away. And that's what you need to advance spiritually. And many times he does that. If you are too attached to something, or too attached to a relationship, too attached to money or wealth, Krishna takes everything away to help you to detach yourself. And he gives you opportunities to advance more in devotional service. So Krishna helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life. So what is ours? That's a practice. What does the soul possess? What does the soul possess? The possession of the soul. consciousness. We are consciousness, the consciousness. And that is what Krishna says here. I protect the consciousness. And I give you all facilities to purify your consciousness, to become more Krishna consciousness. It's about consciousness. We are the consciousness in the body. That if you chant your rounds and only your lips move and your consciousness is somewhere else, you are not chanting your rounds. You are the consciousness. You chant the rounds only when you are there with your consciousness. So that is important to consider in relation to this verse. So don't interpret it from a materialistic viewpoint. That's wrong. Oh, of course, Krishna may also protect your possessions that you use in Krishna's service. That if you are attached, he can take everything away. But if you are not attached, he can give you unlimited wealth to use in his service. No problem. Good. That's 22. And we have a quote of that. Quote. 2 quotes. So the first is, well, Mr. Materialist, you have to work very hard. But here the assurance from the Lord is that those who are unflinching and totally devoted to the transcendental service of me, in return, I take responsibility for their care and comfort. Nitya Bhuktanam Yogsema Vamya. Now, this sloka is very important for devotees. There was a great devotee, his name was Anandacharya. Srila Prabhupada tells the story of Arjuna Acharya. I don't know this story, but anyway. Then the next quote, one may ask what kind of devotee would give his wonderful deity Krishna such a burden. However, Krishna does not consider maintaining his devotee a burden. He wants to serve his devotee. Krishna is so powerful that simply by exerting his will, he can create unlimited universes. Maintaining his devotee is not a burden. Rather, it is his pleasure. That many times envious people are asking me, you are traveling so much, who is paying for that? Envious. But there is nothing envious to be about traveling all the time. No, it's imagination. 23. Now we come to the demigods. Yepyanya devata bhakta yayante shadayam vitaha tepi mami vakantya yayanta vidi purvakam. So we have that avidi purvakam, illegal. It's here in a wrong way, Srila Prabhupada says. Those who are devotees of other gods and will worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way, because when you worship the demigods, they are as representatives of Krishna. That's not avidipurvakam. But if you worship the demigods and you see them as independent from Krishna, avidipurvakam. So sometimes you come in Vrindavan and we see the Vajravasas are also worshipping demigods. But they are worshipping demigods as representatives of Krishna. That's different. So therefore you have to be careful not to criticize them. That is dangerous. That's 23. The purport. Persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is offered to me indirectly. That was Indra. I told him not to go to the heavenly planets. Well, Prabhupada is saying no. Similarly, the purpose of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. That, again, this analogy is here. Similarly, everyone is to offer worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. So, and that's at the end of the purport here, that the officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidik purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of demigods. So that 23. We have, a few quotes, but that's a long one. We will read a short one. Similarly, to worship demigods may be acceptable if people know that these demigods are authorized agents of the Supreme Lord. See, that's what I explained. The worship demigods may be acceptable if people know that these demigods are authorized agents of the Lord, but it's not recommended. You can worship Krishna directly, not recommended, but it's acceptable. But those fools who do not accept the Supreme God and misunderstand that this particular type of demigods is all powerful are behaving stupidly. They are in opposition to the Supreme Lord, that is avidik purvakam. Avidik purvakam, that is not allowed, for no one can compete with the Supreme Lord. That I read the next also, it's not so long. Maybe someone else can read it. That, yeah.
Once asked for what is the what is the use of these hours? That is stated of this year.
Jan. Jan.
Sometimes their knowledge is lost, they can learn. If I want some favor, that then if I know the answer, I'll listen for the favor. What should I do towards some already speak is the department manager. He may be very important in his department, but if I want a favor and if I know the answer, I will come and he will immediately give me an answer. I don't know where I anyone in the garden to be, but if I know the Supreme Person of the garden, what should I go and back from the top of the knee? If I want something, I can ask the Supreme. Why should I rely on the benefit? Krishna knows my duty is strong knowledge of the government, and directly concerning of Krishna, so whatever is given is the power. If you wouldn't therefore need to be benefit, I'm always trying for them, but I do not need to meet them. They are all servants of Krishna. They follow Ishvara Krishna, and they follow Ishvara Paramatma. He is a supreme controller, so why should I go there? Somebody may come for me. It's no need. Why should I bother to do the benefit? I know the Supreme, and the Supreme knows what I want without my husband. He will supply all that I need, all that I need to I'm engaged in his business. Why am I wanting so much in this only? My only reason is that people believe out that Krishna is the controller. That is my reason, and I have no other reason. I don't want anything from Krishna, from the demigods, or anyone, or anyone else. My only reason is that invited by Chandra Mahaprabhu, that is the required by Krishna and Krishna. I'm carrying the Bhagavad Gita of spirit, and I'm trying to educate people in real knowledge to be in. This is my system. That makes people discipline, secure, and powerful.
Oh, thank you. Krishna is the Supreme, Ishvara Paramakrishna. That so if they don't recognize Krishna as the Supreme and see the demigods as independent, then they don't understand Krishna's position. And what happens then with them? That is explained in the next verse. Hammisarva chahyanam bhaktasa prabhurevasha natamam abhijananti tatvenatas yavantite. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So there are so many jahyas in the Vedic literature, but they are also all meant to worship the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that if they don't know this fact, therefore, therefore they fall down to the material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better to pray it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. So better to approach Krishna. That 25 there, Krishna will say, what are the destinations? Yes. Prabhupada in 16 purport. Yeah. As mentioned there, 16 purport. That those who are engaged in rendering devotion service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. That's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So they have done all sacrifices in the Vedas with the purpose to worship Krishna. Therefore, they are graduated. And then they become bhaktas of Krishna. So that means we should not be puffed up, but everyone who is here has gone to that already in previous life, somewhere or another. That's the truth. Because a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, why did we become devotees in this life? Prabhupada said, because you were a devotee in previous life. That's the usual procedure. But there's also another procedure. Another time, the devotees asked Prabhupada, well, how did we come to devotional service? What Ajnata Sukriti, what unknown devotional service of good deeds have we done in our previous life? And Prabhupada said, I'm your Ajnata Sukriti. So Prabhupada could give Bhakti to everyone, even if they didn't wear devotees in previous life. That's the power of Srila Prabhupada. Okay, now Krishna will conclude this section here, 25. Yanti deva vrata devam, pinti yanti piti vrataha, utani yanti bhuteya, yanti machachitam pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So yes, Krishna says that according to their worship, they get in destinations. But a pure devotee, in the middle of the purport, pure devotee, he worships. Worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead only and achieves the planets of Vaikuntha, Krishna Loka without a doubt. Further, near to the end, unfortunately, Many people have no information of the sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. They fall down. So devotees perform devotional service. They go to Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. Krishna Loka is the higher rasas. Vaikuntha is our reference. Like our reference is there if one is aware that Krishna is God. Like Vasudev and Devaki, they are in the Vaikuntha mode. They worship because Lord Krishna first appeared before them in 4 arms, Narayan, Vaikuntha. But Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda, they see Krishna as their son. So they are, yes, that Gargamuni has said is equal to Narayan. Therefore you have to very nicely take care of him, Nanda Maharaj. You must love him as your son. That was the interpretation of Nanda Maharaj. So he said yes. So if every time Krishna did wonderful things, they said, oh, it's not Krishna, it's Narayan working through Krishna. Lord Vishnu is protecting him. So it's not Krishna. Krishna is my son. So that is a different mode. 25. And then all others, those who go to the other destinations, including impersonalists, cannot maintain permanently in the position they achieve. They must fall down. So those who go to Prithvi Loka, those who go to the heavenly planets, those who go to the ghosts and spirits, they cannot remain there. They have to move. Nothing is permanent in this material world. So now we come to text 26, which is the conclusion of this section, which is Bhakti, the highest. The practice of pure devotional service is now explained. That I think, yes. Pitaloka is plant of the forefathers, and this Pitaloka is a kind of heavenly planets. It existed and before even Indraloka. And but the forefathers can go, if they are pious, they can go there, but they can only remain there if they have a putra, a son, who performs pinda, or offerings to the forefathers. And by these offerings, they can stay there. So as long as they have a son who does regularly this pinda, then they can stay there. So yes, but of course, then you have a son who does not do it. So it's finished. Yeah. So then you have to come to take birth again on the earth. And that is, yes, you want to say something?
By doing it into the cream, if they are, dislodged from that place and if they are sinful, they will go down with that. Sinful people go hell.
Yeah.
So this can really that by doing this into the Shraddha.
Yeah, also that's a Shraddha ceremony. Yeah, Shraddha ceremony. That's also done, the Shraddha ceremony. But devotees usually don't do that because the devotee has no depths to the demigods, to the forefathers, and so on, but he serves Krishna. And then in the seventh canto, there with Prahlad Maharaj prays the Lord Nrsimhadev, please save my father. And Lord Nrsimhadev said, because you are an Ananya Bhakta pure devotee, already 21 generations are saved. That, yeah. And but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says that that's for the Uttamadhikar. And for the Madhyam, he says another figure, I forgot it because I'm not an Madhyamadhikar, I'm not interested. Because I'm a beginner, I'm a Kanista, so. But even for the Kanista, the beginner says 3 generations are liberated. That's good. That gives encouraging. But now we come to Bhakti. Yes.
So that means when you need to go to Gaya to perform oblations for your parents after they pass away.
That is not needed, but it does not mean that we cannot do anything. That yeah, he did it. Yeah, he did it. But what we can do is, and we did that in Leicester many times in the Gujarati community where I was 10 years. So when the anniversary was there of the passing away, they would the relatives would invite all the devotees, and for the benefit of the devotee, we will do kirtan. We have a kirtan, and then they would distribute prasadam to the devotees. And that's nice. That is certainly even more powerful in Kali Yuga. That, yeah. Okay, good. Now the highest. That's Ananya Bhakti. Patram Pusham Phalamtram Yomi Bhaktya Payachati Tatram Bhaktya Paritam Ashnami Payatatmana. That's a key memorization first. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, I will accept it. So this is an important purport, and we will quickly go to it. So for the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness and engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord in order to achieve a permanent blissful abode for eternal happiness. So unless we connect with Krishna in love, nothing is permanent what we get. That's only Krishna can give permanent. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of Krishna. Only that. Not easy to become a pure devotee. It's only that. The process is so easy, that's certainly an encouragement. The process is so easy that even a leaf, a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. What's the difficulty? The genuine love. We don't have that much. But if we do it on behalf of the spiritual master, then Krishna will accept it. Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. So he wants to love. He's not interested in the offering itself. He has already everything, and everything belongs to him. So we offer something that belongs to him. That's like offering water to the Ganges. He does not want any kind of offering from a non-devotee. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. So, and further, One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. So what does Krishna want? Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water, and the proper food for the proper food for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Only the remains of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption. We can only eat what's offered. That otherwise, one offers, one eats only sin. Chakyasis Santa Munchate Savake Visai 7:13. There, every mouthful, so 3:17. Every mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. Further, above all, offerings should be made with an attitude of love. Krishna has no need of food since he possesses everything. And further, one can perform the function of Krishna his senses are interchangeable. It can execute one function of any other of the sense, his spiritual senses. Krishna is absolute. So Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuff is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. This point should be emphasized because of his absolute position. His heart is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. So we have a number of points here which are very important. First, Krishna Srila Prabhupada writes, Bhakti is of pure devotional service is easy. It's universal. So one can offer a little water, food, flowers out of love. Krishna will accept it. The most important ingredient of the offering is love. Again, we are the consciousness. Our consciousness, when it's filled with love for Krishna, we offer our consciousness. That's what we are and what we can offer. Otherwise, that all the other things are external and it's done by material nature. We want it, but Krishna does it to us. So it's the consciousness, it's the love that can be offered. So Krishna will not accept anything from a non-devotee. And then the second point, Krishna does not need anything. He's self-sufficient. But does he accept the love of his devotee? The next point, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and object of sacrifices. And Krishna is revealing his desires because the devotee loves Krishna, he gives Krishna what he desires. The devotee wants to give Krishna what he desires. And then the impersonalists cannot understand how Krishna can eat. That they think it's a metaphor or a proof of the mundane character of Krishna. Actually, Krishna has senses, they are interchangeable. He impregnates material nature by his glance. He eats by hearing the devotee's words of love. And then the last point, only the devotees can understand how Krishna can eat food and enjoy it. Therefore, Bhakti devotional service is the only means to approach and understand Krishna. When we started our Food for Life program in Mumbai, we were serving 25,000 plates every day. And so the Muslims complained they are offering the food before they distribute it. That was their complaint. Our answer was, oh, we are offering only one of 25,000 plates. Don't worry. Because they don't believe in the process, so that's for them, that's okay. That so yes, that so this any questions on this section? Otherwise, we have 5 minutes, 10 minutes break. We will reconvene at 5:10. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna, we will resume the last section of chapter 9. So I put on the screen here the summary, the summary of the main points of all the verses. First, Arjuna advises Arjuna to perform karmarpanam, offering the fruits of all activities to him. So all activities, yat karosi yat asnasi. All activities should be done as an offering for Krishna. And then you are the greatest yogi. Because when you are offering everything to Krishna, you don't get reactions of all your activities. Yukta Varahya. That's the condition. You give the fruits to Krishna. And then you are a sannyasi. A sannyasi is one who dedicate his body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. He's always thinking and planning how to serve Krishna. And then 29. The Super Soul provides all the necessities for everyone. So Krishna reciprocates with everyone. He gives what they desires, and to the extent what they deserve. He's neutral, like the judge, the High Court judge we heard before. High Court judge, he makes decisions based on the actions of the living entity. So the Super Soul also, it gives reactions. It's neutral, but for his devotees, he has special affection, we will see. He reciprocates with his devotees. So then Krishna says devotional service is like declaring a war with Krishna. Sometimes you lose a battle, not a war, but you lose a battle, and you are the accent accidentally fall down. But Krishna said, still my devotee, he remains a sadhu. Because he continues service by serving Krishna. And therefore he says, my devotee will never perish. So everyone can perform devotional service. There is no distinction between classes, gender, or nationality, or whatever. And Krishna declares this world is temporary and full of misery. So solve all problems of all it solves, but this devotional service solves all problems of all classes of man. And then therefore engage in always thinking of me, manmana, above mad bhakto, become my devotee, madhyayi, worship me, engage in 9 process of devotional service, and then you will come to me. So that's an overview. Now we will go in the details. Back here. Yat karosi yat tasnasi yat yosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kantiyo tat kusvamat aspanam. Translation. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerity you perform, do that as an offering to me. So mat arpanam, as an offering to me. That thus it is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstances. So we must plan our day with our day. What am I going to do? How can I think of Krishna? Mold your life. So in the middle, everyone has to eat. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, "Give it to me." Krishna says. And then at the end, if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra on his speech, is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi, as substantiated by the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, in summary, all activities should be performed for the pleasure of Krishna. That as an offering. If one molds his way in this life, and at the same time chant Hare Krishna, he will never forget Krishna. Thus, he becomes the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi. Now, I think 26, 26, we got 26. So many. You can, I've sent you the quotes to WhatsApp, so all the night you can read all the quotes if you like. There are many quotes, long ones, short, we read a short one here. Niskam karmis are attached to a specific work they perform. To them, Krishna therefore says that whatever you are already doing, do that as an offering to me. First perform the activity and then surrender its fruits to Krishna. Bhakti is different. In Bhakti, we first surrender to the order of the good Guru and Krishna and then act. We make no distinction between the activity and its fruit. Everything is offered in surrender to the lotus feet. There is no distinction between the activity and its fruit. We do the activity as an offering also, and the fruit also as an offering. No distinction. It's all one offering. Yes, 27, 28. Go back. Subha phale revam mokshasya karma bandhanai sanyasa yoga yuktatma vimukta mamopeshasi. In this way, you will be freed from the bondage of the work and its inauspicious results. Good and bad karma. You are no good, no good karma, no bad karma, no karma. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So here we have the principle of Yukta Vairagya explained in the purport. That so it's further. Yeah, this verse explains the principle of Yukta Vairagya. It's not the first time we read this verse in Bhagavad Gita. Anasaktasya visham yatartanupayung yata nirmana Krishna sambandhe yukta varahyam uchate. So it's the definition of yukta varahya. That varahyam means renunciation through yuktam, through devotional service. What is that principle? Rupa Goswami says that as long as we are acting in this material world, we have to act. We cannot cease to act. Therefore, if actions are performed and the fruits are given to Krishna, then that is called Yukta Vairagya. Actually situated in the renunciation, such activities clear the mirror of the mind, and as the actor gradually makes progress in spiritual realization, he becomes completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A little further, anyone who has no interest but to dedicate his life to the service of the Lord is actually a sannyasi. That's further explained here. He does not give serious attention to the fruitive activities or prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas. Then further, yeah, in the Vedas, a pure devotee who is completely engaged in the service of the Lord may sometimes appear to go against the prescribed Vedic duties. Actually, it is not so. It is said, therefore, by Vaishnava authorities that even the most intelligent person cannot understand the plans of activities of a pure devotee. That a little further here, a person who is just always engaged in the service of the Lord is always thinking and planning how to serve the Lord is to be considered completely liberated at present. And in the future is going back home, back to Godhead is guaranteed. He is above all materialistic criticisms, just as Krishna is above all criticism. So there are 3 points here. The first is the Lord claims every living entity as his son, as the Supersoul provides everyone generous supply of necessities. Mantra. Oh, that's 28 now, sorry. The first point was Yukta Bharahya, means to give the fruits of one's actions to Krishna. Such actions purify one from sinful reactions, give liberation, and lead one to complete surrender. And the other point is a sannyasi who has dedicated his body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna, always thinking of planning to satisfy Krishna. Thus is liberated at present and is guaranteed to go back to Godhead at the end of life. If he does that, huh? That's very nice. Now 29. I think 29 is the last verse that you have to memorize. So we can say the verse together. Please repeat. Samoham sarvabhuteshu na medveshyusti na priyah ye bhajanta tumam bhaktya mayetete sapyaham. Samoham sarvabhuteshu na medveshyusti na priyah ye bhajanta tumam bhaktya mayetete sapyaham. Samoham sarvabhuteshu na medveshyusti na priyah ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayatete sapyaham. In the first 2 lines, there Krishna is taking the position as the super soul. The super soul is neutral and give the reactions of the previous actions to the soul, to the conditioned soul, who then suffers or enjoys. He's neutral. Oh, this person has done that. That's a reaction. That's it. But in the second part, there, the super soul takes the form of the Ishtadev, the form the devotee feels attracted to of Krishna. And there Krishna says, Ye bhajanta tamam bhaktya maitete sapyam. For such a devotee who worship me with devotion, that I'm a friend to him. So that's different. Like it's like a father A father is equal to all children, but is especially inclined to his children. That and this is an analogy Srila Prabhupada many times gives here. Now we go to the purport. That so Prabhupada writes that in the purport, yet he has special interest in his own children, says. That's the same analogy. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and he provides everyone with a generous supply of necessities of life. Then further, the very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, mighty, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. So he reciprocates with his devotee. And Krishna has said that before, 4:11, Yeyatamam Papachri Tamstate Vajamyam. And this transcendental reciprocation exists, that exists both the Lord, this transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotees are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. Then further, living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes a devotee of his devotee. And the last paragraph, the Lord is here stated to be partial to his devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. So it's equal to everyone, but it's partial to his devotees. The Lord's special. This is a manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. That the Lord's reciprocation should be considered to be not to be under the law of karma. The devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of the spiritual world where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. So this is an important verse with many points. First, the first thing that Krishna says is, all the living entities are my sons. That and as a super soul, he provides for everyone. He maintains our body, everything. He gives us oxygen, food, everything. That so it's like a desire tree. But as Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he has special affection for his devotees. And that was confirmed in Yeyatama Pavachalitam Ste Vajamyam. Krishna says, I reciprocate according to their surrender. And such reciprocation is transcendental. It's not under the karmic law, because devotional service belongs to the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada makes the point. Now 31. 30. Verse 30. But before we go to 30, is one quote 29 of Bhagavad Gita, Lecture, New York, 1966. So this is the reciprocation of devotional service to the Lord. And if there is any devotee who is constantly engaged in such devotional service, God will never forget him. Teshute Mai, as he is always unto me, similarly I am also unto him. There is no question of disappointment. Kalpamasya dharmasya trayate maudo vayat. That's the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. If you do a little service for me, it is recorded in Krishna's notebook. Don't think that your labor is going in vain. Everything, whatever you do sincerely is noted. It is clearly stated here, Teshu te mai. As they are constantly thinking of me, similarly, I'm constantly thinking of them. How they can make further development, how they can come to me very quickly, how they can be free from all contamination. He will give you intelligence. And now Krishna will say this, even if my devotee does abominable things, he's still a sadhu. Ape Sudhacharo Bhajanti Mamananya Bhaksadayev Samantafya Samyak Vyapasito. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. That and there, in this purport 30, it's a long purport. I read a few things that are outstanding. So the word Sudurachara used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditioned, and the other is constitutional. That constitutional means outer spiritual. Further, in the middle, as far as possible, a devotee is very cautious so that he does not anything that could not disrupt his wholesome condition. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable socially or politically, but such a temporary fall down does not qualify. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord, being situated within his heart, purifies him and excuses him from abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. But a Krishna conscious person is so strong that such an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Occasional fall down. So we should not willingly fall down. So at the end, the only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinching and exclusively engaged in the devotional service. And then Srila Prabhupada speaks about the marks of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he's still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. So here, the question discussed here in the purport is, how can a person engaged in abominable activities be a devotee? And so, a devotee is continually thinking of Krishna, especially by chanting Hare Krishna, and that makes him pure by nature, as Krishna from within the heart quickly purifies him of all impurities. So then Krishna tells Arjuna to declare it boldly, and that is devotee never perishes. So I told you before that Krishna Baladev Vidyabhushan writes verses between the Gita, and then Arjuna is asking, Krishna, you are asking me to declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Why are you not doing it yourself? Why I have done? Why should I do it? And Krishna replies, I'm from Mathura, and those from Mathura are known as cheaters. But they will never cheat those whom they love. That's Krishna's reply. If we don't love Krishna, Krishna will cheat us, bring us under the material energy, illusory energy. But if we love Krishna, then he will not cheat us. But, yeah. Please. Abominable action. Yes, 30.
So it looks like and he said, the God said, angels being devotional, how it can be possible?
Yeah, that is explained. I repeat the same thing I said before. In the purport of 334, Srila Prabhupada writes, yeah, even an accident can happen on a royal road while practicing the principles of Krishna consciousness. That Maya is very strong and takes your intelligence away for a few moments. You are inauthentic. And it happens. But that should be accidentally, not habitually. And Krishna, because the devotee is completely engaged in devotional service, Krishna purifies him quickly of that, and he goes further. So if we ever fall down in Krishna consciousness, we get up and we continue devotional service. And the continuous and the devotional service itself will purify us. No need for separate atonement. But, yes.
Again, is the example of accident or there is
Accidental. That was a serious fall down. Became attracted to the prostitute and was completely Maya. But still Krishna remembered this devotional service. That's what the quote we read. But all devotional service you do, Krishna noted it in his notebook. So Ajamila had worshipped very nicely the deity as a Brahman in his youth, but then he gave everything up. But Krishna arranged in his old age that his son would call Narayan, and you know the story. But then he had this near-death experience, but then he had to rectify. Krishna, by having this near-death experience and seeing the Vishnu-dutas and the Yama-dutas, he had three realizations. First, he saw these Vishnu-dutas, which were like Krishna. He could not forget them. Second, his life was prolonged. Normally, he had to die. And the third thing is, he heard this conversation between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. And he made a resolve, I will never do this sinful activities anymore. And then after that, he went to Haridwar and started to perform a sadhana. And then he became completely purified and so on. But he had to rectify himself. that Krishna gave him the possibility. So that's Ananya Sintyantmam Yajna Paribhastate Samnitya Bhaktyam Yogakshyam Famyam. He gave him the experience that he needed to advance further in devotional service and gave him the facilities. So that's very nice. That's an action of love between Krishna and his devotee. It's nice. Good. Then we go to 31. 31. Kshipam bhavati dharmatma cha sasvachantim nigacchati kauntyapachanya nami bhakta pranashati. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti declared boldly that my devotee never perishes. So in this verse, it's said somewhere in the middle that anyway, yeah, generally a devotee is who is engaged in 9 kinds of devotional service, is engaged in the process of cleansing all material contamination from the heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all his sinful contaminations are washed away. Then further, the purifying process is already there in the heart. Thus, due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly, therefore the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare should be continued without stoppage. This will protect the devotee from accidental fall down. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contamination. Srila Prabhupada gave a lecture in Vrindavan, and during that lecture he said to devotees, I will not fall down, but you may fall down. You have to be very careful. And after the lecture, the Srila Prabhupada was praying to Shishirada Syama Sundar, was praying. And was praying to Shishirada Syama Sundar. And the devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, what are you praying for? And Prabhupada said, I'm praying to the Lord to please not let me fall down. And that's why I'm not falling down. I'm praying always to the Lord to not fall and let me fall down. That is the proper inner attitude. So in devotional service, there's this is important, attitude, that always pray to the Lord, always chant Hare Krishna within your mind without stoppage. That will protect the devotee. So continuous devotional service will protect us. That controls our mind and senses. That if for a moment you don't engage in devotional service, you are in danger. Yes, please.
We wanted to know what they would come from the doesn't fall down. What would have been his fall?
What is Prabhupada considering as a fall down? That's your question? Yeah. Fall down means deviating from devotional service. Doing activities not in devotional service, and especially not sinful activities. That sinful activities or selfish activities. That so that's a fall down. Please. You have to speak louder.
I didn't understand. So, something that we did, although it's not controlled,
Well, you have severe and less severe forms of fall down. That and that if you have illicit sexual activities, that's quite a heavy fall down. That if you eat chocolate, that will not be so serious. That so there is a difference. That that's you have the sinful activities, you have the pious activities. Performing pious activities for material benefit is also fall down, but that's less severe than the sinful activities because one is in passion and the other is in ignorance. And that so that's yeah. Well, anyway, that okay. Then we go to text 32, and this is Mami Patria Pasita Yepisu Papayonia, Steovais Tatasidas, Tapiant of Amgatin. O son of Peter, those who are taking shelter in me, though they are of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, and Sudras, can attain the supreme destination. That is clearly declared by the Supreme Lord that in devotional service there is no distinction between the lower and higher class of people. So we have seen great devotees like Queen Kunti, that is they're great examples. That and yeah, Sudras, we are all Sudras in Kali Yuga. That yeah, Kala Sudra Sambhava, the same. Everyone is born Sudra in Kali Yuga. That that's our situation. That and Vaishyas, they are considered more in passion, passion and ignorance, a combination. That's quite, the Brahmins are goodness and the Kshatriyas are pure passion. So they are lower, so-called from that perspective. In devotional service, there is no distinction of these classes. Mame Patira Pasita Yepisu Papayit Yona, Striyas Vaishyas Tata Sudras Tepianta Ram Gatim. Papayonaya, that sinful people. That in the UK there is a fast food restaurant which serves only meat, and they are called Papa Joni. So Papa Jonah, Krishna, Papa Joni. But they found that interesting, Papa Jonah. That and Mahavishnu Goswami, the old Gujarati Swami, I was living in London, was the first devotee that I met. And he said, Krishna has sense for humor. That the Pope is called in Latin Papa. Yes, Papa. And as Peter Prabhu was describing when the Pope was visiting Ireland, and it was in the papers, everything what he was eating, and there's all meat and fish, and he keeps that. Anyway, it's not, we should not criticize other religions, Prabhupada says, but anyway, Papa John, that now in the purport, so in devotion service, there is no distinction between the lower and the higher classes of people. That and then at the end, near to the end. Anyway, but the purpose of the devotional service is so strong that the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord can enable people of all lower classes to attain the highest perfection of life. This is possible only when one takes shelter of Krishna, as indicated here by the word Vyapasrita. One who has taken shelter completely of Krishna, then one is greater than a jnani or a yogi. That now we have text. This was text 31. Let's see for the quotes. Yeah, that's a long one. Few pages. That's a bit too long. You can read it on your own. Text 32. Text but 32. Okay, this is a reasonable one. At the Convention of Washington, 76. Even one born into a low-grade family can be elevated without exception. That is Shastra, but there are rascals who do not allow this. They have their own ideas. Krishna never said that only the Brahmins or Indian or Hindus can take shelter of me. Mami Partya Vapasita Yebishu, whatever it may be, there's no restrictions. Just like anyone can take a bath in the Ganges. It is not that only a particular person or a particular community can take a bath. Anyone can, and he becomes purified. There is an example. Nai arate yotsna chandra shandal vishmani. When there is moonlight, there is no discrimination. That the Bankis house should receive the moonshine, whilst at Chandal's house there should be none. The moon shines upon the palace of the king or on the house of a Chandal. Nai arate yotsna chandra shandala vishmani. Krishna's mercy is for everyone, and it is not restricted to a certain community class of people. Anyone can take advantage of Krishna consciousness. Text 33. Yeah. 33. That is a quote. That's good. Go first. Kim punar brahmana punya bhaktyaracha sayastata anityamasakam lokam imam prapya bayasramam. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahman, the devotees, and the saintly kings, therefore having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. This. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, the material world is miserable, and the spiritual world is eternal and blissful. At the end of the purport, right? The devotional service of the Lord is the only process by which all problems of all classes of man can be solved. Everyone should therefore take to Krishna consciousness and make his life perfect. So that is 33. 2 points are made in this verse. That Krishna declares this material world is temporary and full of misery. And it's uninhabitable for any sane man, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj says. It's not for gentlemen, this world. So this refutes the Mayavadi philosophy that this world is false. It's not false, it's just temporary. So Krishna is encouraging here Arjuna, who is born in a royal family, to engage in devotional service. And such devotional service can solve the problems of all men. Now, we have a quote of Prabhupada, 33, that even one born into a low-grade family can be elevated without exception. That is Shastra, but there are rascals who do not allow this. They have their own ideas. Krishna never said that only the Brahmins or Indians or Hindus can take shelter of me. Maybe parte of Apasritya, Yepishu, whatever it may be, there is no restrictions. Just like anyone can take a bath in the Ganges. It is not that only a particular person or particular community can take a bath. Anyone can and becomes purified. There is an example. Here is Na I arate yochna chandra sandala vishmani. When there is moonlight, there is no discrimination. Oh, I read that already. It was the next verse I wanted to read. The next quote, sorry. But repetition is never bad. So, Brahma Satyam Charan Mithya. Jagat is not Mithya. A Vaishnava devotee cannot accept that this Jagat world is false. No, how can it be false? Suppose you enter a very beautiful garden with beautiful trees, so many nice flowers and buildings. Everything is exquisite. The owner of the garden shows you around and says, oh, it's all Mithya. Then how depressed he becomes, thinking, I brought his friend to show him the beauty of this garden and I say Mithya. That illusion. Similarly, we don't want to depress Krishna. That is not our business. Krishna has created this world where everything is very nice. The sun is rising just exactly on time. It is setting exactly on time. The moon is rising. The sun, the seasons are changing. And we are getting nice food, nice fruit, nice flowers. So we won't discourage Krishna. Krishna has created this nice world. How can I say it's Mithya? It is the byproduct of Krishna's energy. And Krishna's energy cannot be false. It is eternal. So, therefore, we learned that Prakriti is eternal. Sometimes manifest, sometimes not. It's interesting. Now we have the last verse and the conclusion of the Gita. Halfway. This is today we offer it as to Krishna, our attempt to study Bhagavad Gita for the Purushottamas, the first 9 chapters. Very nice. So we up. Oh, let's go back. 9 is the last verse. Manmana bhav bhakto machaimam namaskar mama vaishasi yuktai vyamma atmanam parayanam. Engage your mind always thinking of me, become my devotee, offer my obeisance to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So the Prabhupada writes, in this verse it clearly indicates that Krishna consciousness is the only means of being delivered from the clutches of the contaminated material world. A little further in the purport, that there is no difference. There is no difference between Krishna's mind and Krishna. Krishna is not an ordinary human being. That is the absolute truth. His body, his mind, and he himself are one and absolute. No difference. Further, in the second paragraph, there are some who are demonic. They also think of Krishna, but enviously, just like King Kamsa. Krishna's uncle, he was also thinking of Krishna always, but he thought of Krishna as his enemy. He was always in anxiety, wondering when Krishna would come to kill him. That kind of thinking will not help us. One should be thinking of Krishna in devotional service. That is Bhakti. One should cultivate the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. What is the favorable cultivation? It is to be learned from a bona fide teacher. Understanding Krishna otherwise from the wrong source will prove fruitless. In the next paragraph, in the middle, One has to offer obeisance to Krishna. One should lower his head before the deity and engage his mind, his body, activities, everything. That will make one fully absorbed in Krishna without deviation. That will help one to transfer to Krishna Loka. Then there is a summary that, and Srila Prabhupada writes at the end of the summary, a pure devotee directly takes to the service of the Supreme Lord. He does not practice the other yogas. There is a beautiful poem about Krishna in which it is clearly stated that any person who is engaged in the worship of the demigods is most unintelligent and cannot achieve at any time the supreme award of Krishna. The devotee in the beginning may sometimes fall down from the standards, but he should not be considered superior to all other philosophers and yogis. And then at the end, the pure devotee has no actual chance to fall down, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes care of his pure devotees. Therefore, the intelligent person should take directly to the pose of Krishna consciousness and happily live in the material world. He will eventually receive the supreme award of Krishna. So what does this verse tell us in this purport? First, we should engage in devotional service in the 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting of Krishna. That will make us manmana, fix ourselves on Krishna. And then we can be delivered from this material world. Pure devotional service is free from speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and fruitive activities. Because why? Krishna takes personally care of his devotees, and then success is guaranteed. The unscrupulous commentators try to divert others away from Krishna by distorting, changing the meaning of the verses. No, they don't know the signs of Krishna, and they hide Krishna, and they divide his personality and say it's different from his body and his form. But actually, there is no difference between Krishna, his mind, and his body. So, yes. Now, we read the last quotes of 34 in Paris, 1976. Mama Vaishasi, you are trying to find out the supreme lovable objects. So Mama Vaishasi, come let us live and love one another. This is the goal of life. Every one of us loves Krishna, but we are missing him. Therefore, we are placing our loving propensity wrongly here and there, and we are becoming frustrated. Krishna says that if you simply follow this process, manmana bhav madbhakto, you come to me. You come to your original lovers. That we read the last one. The Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic literature. The middle 6 chapters are the essence of the Gita, and the 9th and the 10th chapter are the essence of the middle 6 chapters. Finally, the last verse of this chapter, which is exactly in the middle of the Gita, and which will be repeated practically verbatim at the end of the Gita, is the most confidential and essential sloka. It is the essence of the essence of the essence and the most confidential of all knowledge. Become a pure devotee of Krishna. So you have the entire Bhagavad Gita, the 6 chapters in the middle are confidential. The most confidential is the 9th chapter. And Srila Prabhupada was in France. A general of the French army came to see him and asked, I said to Prabhupada, I don't, because he got a copy of Bhagavad Gita. He said, I don't have much time. Tell me, which is the most important chapter? Which chapter should I read? And Prabhupada said, chapter 9. Chapter 9. And the most essential verse, so, is the last verse, Manmano Bhav Madbhakto. That's the essence of all the Vedas. That's how you can. The essence is Vedasa Sarvayame Vedya, is to know Krishna. And that's how to know Krishna. Yes, please.
Devotee wants to spread this knowledge to everyone by the
Why is confidential?
like our goal is to spread it like all.
Yeah, but it's confidential. So the first we must try to understand it. And we hear it today, we study it, not sure we have understood much. Because we go outside and we act otherwise. So it's confidential. So if we cannot understand it, what will be the people outside to understand it? Second thing is, Krishna says at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Man manabhav mat bhakti machi mam namaskaru, mama vesha satyam te patisana prayoshimi. Come my devotee, think of me, become my devotee, offer my obeisances, offer me all respect, then worship me. And Sarvadam Pichiyam Mamakam Samspacham Tvam Sarvapabhyamakshishyamacham. The instruction is not finished. He said, you have to surrender. You have to do everything what I told you. All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, you have to follow that. And then Krishna says that one who studies this confidential dialogue between me and Arjuna worships me with his intelligence. And then Krishna says, one who explains this knowledge to my devotees is very dear to me. Nobody will ever be more dear. But this knowledge should not be explained, Krishna says, to those who are not austere, not my devotees. You should not do it, Krishna says. So we should follow Krishna's instruction. But still, the devotee, Srila Prabhupada says, want to be more merciful than the Lord. And he tries to find ways to give it to others. But if you preach to the envious, it will have big reactions that are very, very difficult. So there are two things here. First, it is confidential. You have to be a devotee to understand it. You may preach to them, but they will not understand. That unless Krishna wants them to understand. But Krishna wants only to understand those who are non-envious of him. So it doesn't work. That but a devotee, and Krishna says, don't do it, don't speak, don't give this knowledge to those who are not austere, who are not my devotees. But still, the devotee wants to be more merciful. And Krishna has given a special arrangement to his pure devotees the power to give bhakti, even to the envious. And we are just assisting Prabhupada. How do we preach then to those who are not austere and so on? We give them a book. And they open the book and Prabhupada is preaching to us, to them. He can do that. We don't have that power. Does that help? Good. Thank you. Good. We are at the end of the first 9 chapters. Then tomorrow we start with the 10th chapter. We continue with Krishna will continue to speak until the 12th chapter of Ananya Bhakti. And we'll hear more tomorrow. Thank you very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.